In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 10 under 23 players on Sorare that you can pick up for less than £10. Hope you enjoy the video. Leave a like if you do, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's get straight into things. The first player on our list is Quinn Sullivan, playing for Philadelphia Union in the MLS. He's American, he is under 23 eligible until 2028. This player isn't somebody that you're going to look at and go, wow, his Sorare scores stand out to me. But trust me, this player will become a very, very good player in the future. Like I said, eligible until 2028. You have utility for forever, under 23 wise. You can pick him up for less than £10. He's somebody that you're not going to get immediate utility out of right now. Looking at his Sorare graph, he's scored 2 goals in the last season and a half. But there's definitely a player here that I do think will become a very good FSO5 player in the future. What season is that going to happen? I don't know. But at the price you can get him at, I think it's a long-term hold where there will be some sort of payoff in the end. Next up is Zaidoo Youssef. If you've watched my unique video where I bought my first unique card, you will realize that Zaidoo Youssef was indeed that unique. He's under 23 eligible until 2024, so you've got 2 seasons left, even though he is 23 already. Luckily, he's born on the 11th of July, which is past the cutoff date of July 1st. He's a player that I've been tracking for a long time, since my Football Index days, but he's just recently moved to Famalicão in the Portuguese league, and he started off pretty brightly. He's got himself a 51 and a 52 in his first 2 starts. He came off the bench in the first game. Don't get me wrong, he is not playing the best team in the world. They paid £1 million for him. I think he is going to be a nailed-on starter going forward, in my opinion. And for less than £10, I think you're going to get a player that is going to hit some decent AA scores. Whether he's going to get those decisives, obviously I'm hoping he does as a unique holder, but I don't know if they're going to come straight away. Like I said, the team that he plays for isn't the best, so I do worry about him and his team scoring goals. But I think his AA game is decent enough to where he can hit between 10 and 20 each game. Don't get me wrong, that's not going to win you star rares. But as an L15 of 40, he's eligible for specialist, he's eligible for underdog. I think there's a decent player in here. And like I said, 2 years of eligibility. I don't think it's a bad player to own on Sorare. Next up is Lucas Piton. Brazilian, plays for Corinthians, under 23 eligible until 2025. You can pick him up for less than £6. And he's a left back or left midfielder that has scored some really good scores. As you can see here, we've got a 99, 38 AA score with the decisive, 85, 24 AA, 76, 14 AA, a 60, a 76, a 66. A load of nice scores, a load of substitute appearances as well. Mainly plays left back, like I said, a couple of games in left attacking mid, left wing back, but mainly a left back. I do think he's a player that could benefit from the new matrix changes playing as a left back, meaning that he's not going to get penalized for losing the ball as much. He can take more risks and not get penalized as heavy for it. There is a few DMPs in there, as you can see. What's that, 6 DMPs there? I'm not sure the reasons for them. I know Corinthians do like to rotate quite a lot, but for this type of talent, I think it's decent value, and I do think you will get a decent SO5 player out of him in the coming future. Next up is Cristian Caceres of New York Red Bulls, under 23 eligible until 2024. He's a centre midfielder. He basically plays every game, bar the odd DMP and a few stinkers like the 3 here. For the price of player he is, his scores are actually really, really decent. A load of good AA games here, 61, 24 AA, 50, 55, 51, 72 with 2 decisives, to be fair. I think he's been playing in the cam role over the last few games, and it has benefited him in terms of his AA and some decisives as well. But having watched a lot of the MLS this season and being a Frankie Amaya holder, I have watched a lot of Cristian, and he's a very, very talented player. His game does revolve around the matrix very much so. A load of tackles, load of interceptions, loads of duels won. He's a very small, agile. He's got a very good low center of gravity. He doesn't really get knocked off the ball that much. He's always involved in breaking up play. And he's somebody for less than £10 you can pick up that is going to get you some very decent scores. Is there any hundreds in there? No. Did I expect any hundreds? Probably not for a player less than £10, but I do think he is decent value. Next up is Marco Farfan, again a MLS player, under 23 eligible until next season, playing for FC Dallas. He is a left back that does seem to score pretty well on the matrix, like I mentioned with Piton, hoping that the new matrix changes can help this player as well. A few nice scores here, 61, 64s, 63s, 70s, no 80s, no 90s, no 100s. Like I mentioned with Cristian, you're not really going to find those type of scores with players less than £10. It's just kind of how it's going to work. But nonetheless, he can score pretty well. Nothing crazy, some nice AA games here, 20, 15s, 20s, -8 there is just not ideal. Playing left mid though. But when he plays left back, he seems to score pretty well. With a player like this, you just got to hope that he's up and down enough to where he's getting himself assists, he's getting clean sheets. With an L15 of 45, he is underdog eligible as well. So if you don't want to plug him into your under 23 limited teams, there is the option to throw him into an underdog team, hoping that he does pop off and get one of his 70s, or hoping that he scores higher than he previously has before. Next up is Clayton Itanga, playing for FC Sean. He's a Brazilian forward, under 23 eligible until 2023. He's a player I've won previously, to be fair, and he's a decent player. He scores goals now and again. I'm not going to say he scores every game, otherwise he wouldn't be under £10, would he? But he does score goals, and when he does, he seems to get into the dark green. You've got a 76 here with a 16 AA, which is good for a forward. A 79 here with 2 decisives and 8.3 AA. An 84 here with a 17 AA again. That's really, really encouraging. You know, like when he does score, he seems to score very well. And he seems to get a decent AA as well, which is just what you want. He plays up front most of the time. He does play on the wing sometimes, right attacking mid, left attacking mid. You can't expect goals every game from him, otherwise he wouldn't be a £10 player, like I said. But he's somebody that you could probably plug in to an underdog lineup. If you're short on under 23 forwards, I think he's a decent option. He's not going to take on the world, but there's definitely scope there for him to score goals for you. Next up is David Ayala, playing for Portland Timbers. Argentinian midfielder, under 23 eligible until 2027. You can pick up a limited for under £10. And he's a player that has seen quite a bit of game time lately. As you can see here, you're not looking at many decisives, but a nice little 11.4 AA, an 18.9 AA, a 13.7 AA over the last few games. He did DMP last game. He was an unused sub. And there's a load of other DMPs in between some of his scores as well. He's not going to take on the world, like I say, for most of these players, but definitely a talented midfielder, only 20 years old, playing in the MLS already. He's got a load of appearances under his belt, and he has hit some decent AA scores. So for a player like this, I think it's a long-term hold. I don't think he's going to be scoring 100 anytime soon, but there definitely is a player in here that I do think could contribute well to the Matrix in the coming future. Next up is Bon Cheol, who's playing for Songnam in the K-League. He's under 23 eligible until 2024. It's actually a funny story with this one. I was almost going to pick up his unique card that went like 3 or 4 months ago now. I think it went for like less than an ETH. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't, because this guy went on an absolute heater. I think I tried to pick him up around this sort of time. And he, went on a 64, 78, a 92, an 84, another 92, a 68 as well. A couple of decent scores down here, a couple of poor ones, of course. He's a player that is always involved in the decisive plays within his team. He doesn't play for the best team in the world, I can tell you that for free. There's definitely a skill gap in the K-League, and his team aren't on the top of it, I can just guarantee you that. But he does score pretty well nonetheless. A 22 AA score in the last game in a 2-0 loss. Of course, there is risk with this one that his team does get relegated and then he would be playing in the K2 League. But I think he's good enough to get some sort of move if that does happen, considering how well he's performed over the last few games. I've watched his highlights. Like I said, I was going to buy his unique. I've seen some of his games. He's very, very tricky. He's a good player. He takes set pieces. He's the main creative player for their team, albeit they don't create much, but when they do, he is involved. And for a player that's under £10 like this, I think it's a decent pickup. He's eligible for under 23s for another 2 seasons. So hopefully if his team does get relegated, he doesn't go with them and he moves. And if they don't get relegated, then of course he will stay in K1 and he will be scored on Sorare. Next up is Santiago Sosa, another Argentinian. He's 23 years old and he is eligible until 2023. Playing for Atlanta United, previously played for River Plate, and over the last few games, he's scored very, very well since he's got back into the side. A 30 AA, a 21 AA, and a 8 AA with a decisive against Columbus Crew. He's been a sub or an unused sub for most of this season, as you can see here, by his scores and his DMPs. But when he has played over the last few games, he has looked pretty promising. Keeps the ball really well, breaks up play well, and able to get decisives. With an L15 under 50, he is underdog eligible as well. Is he going to take on the world as an under 23 midfielder? No, but there's some very, very encouraging scores there for him over the last few games. Hopefully he can stay in the side and hopefully he can carry on those scores. Last but not least is Nathaniel Santini, playing for FC Sean in the Super League in Switzerland. He's under 23 eligible until July 1st, 2024, so plenty of utility out of him. You can pick him up for less than £7. and he's scored pretty well this season. There's a few DMPs in there. There's a few dodgy scores in here, 11, 18, 26s. But there's a 99 peak up there with a 59 AA score, which is ridiculous. 50s, a couple 62s, 24 AA, and a 28 AA. So he is capable of hitting some decent scores, especially when his team does get a clean sheet. He does play on the same team as Clayton Itanga. With an L15 of 46, he is underdog eligible. Is he going to be in the top 10 under 23 defenders? No. But he wouldn't be the price he's at if he was. But is there value in him? Yeah, of course. If FC Sean have a great matchup and you feel confident enough that he's going to get a clean sheet, then I do think he could score very well, as he's previously shown. And for a player that's less than £7 as a limited, I think there's decent enough value in here that over the next 2 years as an under 23 player, I do think you're going to see some nice scores out of him. Okay, thank you for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave it a like. And if you are new around here, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel. If you are completely new to Sorare and you haven't yet signed up and you're deciding that you want to, there's a link in the description of this video that's going to get you 1 free limited card once you've purchased 5 from the new card auctions on Sorare. I'll be transparent, it does help me out if you do sign up with that link. I hope you have a great game week. I hope you have a great day, and I shall see you guys in the next video.